शन्नो मित्रशं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So there's been a little bit of a gap. First there was what happened to the internet. Something happened to the internet for 5 days. So that is what was going on. So there's been a little bit of a gap. And we don't keep a track of what happens to the internet because it's a daily basis. Something or the other is keeping on happening. And so we are at a very interesting point in the Bhashya. And the mantra in question is this. So kamayat bahusyam praja yeti satapo tapyat satapastaptva idagum sarvam asrijat yadidam kincha tatsrishtva tadevanupravishat tadanupravishya satyatyakcha bhavat. This is where we are at. This is what is called pravesha shrutihi. Pravesha shruti means the portion of the shruti which deals with the quote unquote, and we have to keep our hands permanently like this, which deals with the quote unquote entry of Bhagavan, Ishvara, Brahman into the whole world in the form of the whole world. So you can see why this is so important. And it's also the place. Up till now, the objector, the Purva Pakshi, was sleeping, but now the fellow is awake and alive and full of questions, and even more than questions, full of objections of all kinds. And so the first objection we saw, that Brahman, how can Brahman have desire? Because the word Brahman is what? Neuter. And anything that is neuter, it cannot have desire. You said it cannot move. You said it cannot talk. You said it. You yourself said. This is how the Purva Pakshi talks, because there is no Shraddha. You said it cannot walk. You said it does not have Karmendriya. It does not have Jnanendriya. It does not have anything. So how can it create? And how can it do this? So that means if Achetanam Brahma, if Brahman, which is Jada means what? Inert. If inert Brahman has created, that means what? This whole Jagat is inert. And then what are you? Earth, opposite of inert. Sentient. If you are sentient, then knowing an inert Brahman, is it going to, or can it remove your complexes? Absolutely not. So I know many inert things in the universe. What are they? Rocks, mountains. So many things I know. River, also inert from the standpoint of this particular bifurcation. So what has happened to me? I know the mountain, but it has not changed. Samsara has not gone. It cannot remove samsara. So knowing Brahman, I'm not going to be free from samsara, because why? It is inert. But suddenly, it is just because you use the masculine, saha akamayata. Saha is masculine. And so otherwise it should have been tat akamayata, but here it is saha. And so just because you say this doesn't make it any different. You can use any word you like, But here, this is inert. So an inert Brahman, a Brahman that does not have any power, meaning it is not alive, how can it create? And why should I know what it created? Not only can it not create, why should I know what it created? And what does it do to me? So many things keep creating, and it is jada. Jadatvam is there, means it cannot create. And so there is no point. And first point, it cannot create because of jadatvam. Second point, even if it is jada, then knowing this jadam brahma, it is this inert brahman, is not going to make any difference to me. Who is me? Samsari, very very sorry. And this this samsari is not going to transform because of knowing this inert brahman. And so this was the last argument in the Purva Janma, in the last life we had seen a long time ago when the Taittiriya Upanishad met. Okay, I'm telling all of them. And so this is the last time we had we did this. So, but then what does Adi Shankara, this is just a, what's the word for it, recap. So Adi Shankara rebuts this. He rebuts this because you cannot go, because this is just plain wrong, you know, just plain wrong. It's totally wrong to say that this is the Brahman is jada. You cannot say that. Even though it is neuter gender, it is not jada. You can't say that. And so therefore, therefore this is what we have to discuss, that how is this Brahman, how did this Brahman, quote unquote, become the creator? Now, if you look at, I don't want to go into this because I have no desire to deal with it. If you go into Sankhya Darshana, they will have their own idea. They will say that Ishvara Pradhanam doesn't create, Prakriti creates. Okay, but then what is the connection between Prakriti and Pradhanam? No connection. They are divorced. For us, they are never divorced. They are happily married like all our devatas, and not only that, they are one. That's why we have only in the Hindu tradition Ardhanarishvara, because left hand side is goddess, right hand side is Lord. They are one. You cannot separate them. And even Dakshinamurti, left hand side is female. The different earrings are there. And in the hands of a wonderful sculptor, we find that the left hand side of the face is softer, with the eyes will be little bit above and below. They will find that. Left eye will be bigger. And so in the hands of a skillful sculptor. And so then, if we look at the Bhashya, he says, na, it is not jada. Why it is not jada? You know, it is not jada because it is kamayitritvat. Because what is the first line? The first line is what? The first line. So this is where we are at. The last one we saw that it is not jada. He dismissed that it is not jada. Why? Because akashadi karanatvat brahmanaha. He dismissed that by saying Brahman is the cause of the jagat. So Brahman is not non-existent, it is not jada, and so therefore it is very much there. And then achetanam tarhi, the Purva Pakshi asks, what if he is jada? He is not jada, it is not jada. Kamayatritvat. Kamayatritvat. Kamayatritvat means because of the status of being a desire. Nahi kamayatra achetanam asti loke. In the world, we don't see a desirer being inert. The rock doesn't have desire. The computer doesn't have its own desire. No, you can't browse the web right now, I am busy. And you can't teach this class because I have my own things to do. You don't hear that. And then when you are eating with a spoon, the spoon doesn't say, I'm hungry, why are you eating? And then it doesn't eat the food. So we na asti loke, na drishtam loke. We don't see inert things desiring in the world. So it is safe to say, sarvajnam hi brahma iti avochama. And we have said that For a desire to be there, there should be knowledge. We have said that earlier. Without knowledge, you cannot desire something. You have to have knowledge of that thing to desire. An unknown thing cannot be an object of desire. So, if Jagat is an object of desire for Brahman, it should be what? Known. A known Jagat. That's why it is Sarvagyam iti avochama. Brahmanaha Sarvajnatvam. We have already discussed the all knowing nature of Brahman. We have discussed the all knowing nature of Brahman because desire cannot rest in a unconscious entity, not unconscious, jada, inert entity, and desire cannot exist in a ignorant entity, ignorant of that particular desire. I mean, even from the human standpoint, even if Swarga you want, let's say Swarga is unknown. So somebody can say, how can you desire Swarga? It is heaven, etc. If you desire heaven, it must be unknown. It is unknown. So how can you desire heaven? It is unknown. The details are unknown. But all the things we have been talking about in the class, that it has Urvashi and Menaka dance concerts, it is written in the Veda. Okay, and then that there are crows in heaven. Oh, there are crows in heaven also? Yes, but they are white. Oh, white crows in heaven. And they have teeth. Okay, so all this we know the description of heaven from what? From the Veda. And that is why we start salivating, saying, idhar to kuch kaam nahi ban raha hai because nothing is happening here, and I'm not able to be happy here, and I'm filled with samsara, I'm dipped in samsara, and then therefore what? Let me at least desire heaven when I'm out of this terrible body and this equally terrible mind and the sense organs that don't function, and then after I'm out of this terrible world, at least I'll get some P and Q. What is P and Q? Peace and quiet. So I'll get some tranquility. This is the hope. That's why even Swarga, even heaven, if it is not known exactly what it is, there is enough enticing statements. Please come, in the first part of the Veda. The first part of the Veda is a glossy brochure for heaven. Just like you have brochures. Come to, what is that place? Bahamas. Come to Cancun. And what's in Cancun? White beaches. No, white, not beaches, sand. Blue water. Yes. And then they will put one nice blue table in the glossy brochure. And then they'll put 2 chairs. And then there'll be a nice blue umbrella to match with the water. And then there'll be 2 drinks kept with their own umbrellas. Okay. And then you see that and say, oh, I feel like going. First, 5 minutes ago, I didn't even know. Cancun was can't coon. I did not know that it was there. Can't go there because I did not know it was there. Now it is can. I can go there. That's why it's Cancun. I can go there. And so then, so I want to go there. The desire is born. I want to go. And then after going there, what? Big disappointment. What have they done? They have photoshopped all the concrete jungle in the form of hotels. They have photoshopped out all the people that are lying on the beach. There's millions of them. And then they have photoshopped it all out, and only white sand they have left and they have recreated. And so the desire is born to go there, even though whether you have the money or not, then you look for the means and all these things. And so therefore, na drishtam loke, so without jnanam, there is no desire. So be very careful. 2 points are being made. First is that desire can rest only in a conscious being, number 1. Second point, to rebut the Purva Pakshi, the second point that is being made is that not only does the desire rest in a conscious being, an unknown object is not the object of desire. And so if Brahman is the creator and the desirer of everything, that means he is also the knower of everything. Ishvara is all-knowing. All-knowing. Why? Akashadi karanatvat brahmanaha. Okay. And so then, ataha kamayitritva Tihi. So that's how the desiring status is born. Okay. And the Purva Pakshi, of course, is not convinced. That is his job, to not be convinced. Okay. Otherwise, it would be very easy. That's why the study of Bhashya makes one very firm in the arguments. Because until then, it could be this, it could be that, and we go away with vagueness, with a certain kind of doubt, with a certain kind of whatever it is. You know? Yeah. You want a shawl? No, you're okay? Yeah. There is one in this cupboard. You're all right? Yeah. So then, so here we have to see that when Brahman is being discussed as all knowing, we have to see what the implications are. It's a kind of a pat knowledge comes at first. Sarvajnam Brahma, all knowing is Brahman, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. It's all, memorized and it is there. But it has to assimilate, it has to sink in, it has to, what is that? It has to seep into the person itself. And that is what Bhashya does. The Bhashya itself is like a Nyaya. Nyaya means a kind of a maxim. Sthanu Nikandana Nyaya. Sthanu means like poles. So for Guru Purnima, we erected 2 poles on the Vyasa Pitha, right? 2 poles like this and 3 poles like this. And then after they were erected, the people who helped with that, they gave it a good shake. Why do we give it a good shake? To make sure that it is capable of all the things we hang from it. We hung various things from it, and everybody knows because they all saw the photographs, and you sent. Yeah, that's how. So, okay, things go around. Okay. So, so then we have to hang these big, what are they called? Torrents. What do you say in English? Dangling things. Okay. Yeah. So, you have to hang these dangling things. And then one dangling thing, okay. But 50 dangling things, if they are there, it should be able to hold the weight. It should not fall on the Acharya while the Acharya is there. Okay. And so therefore, we give it a good shake. As soon as it's all put up and the scaffolding is put up and tied, you give it a good shake. And then when it doesn't shake, then you know that you can even hang a bunch of coconuts on it. Nothing will happen. Right? So this is what the Bhashya does to the person. It makes the knowledge unshakable. So you shake, the Purva Pakshi is shaking now. And then we have to be steady and we have to be extremely alert to not let this fellow sweep whatever little knowledge and reasoning is there. It has to be protected and guarded against these kinds of onslaughts. That's why this exchange between the Purva Pakshi, the objector, and the Siddhantin, the person who is, who is refuting or rebutting the Purva Pakshi, becomes extremely important for the assimilation of the knowledge. Otherwise, if we don't understand this, we go away thinking this is a contrived objection. Why should I do this? Let me go into Manorajya. What is Manorajya? Daydreaming is called Manorajya in the words of Panchadashikara, Swami Vidyaranya. So then the Purva Pakshi now comes up with another question. What is that? Kamayitritvat Asmadadivat Asmadadivat Anaptakamam Iti Chet. Yeah, we have an official repeater, Ramakrishnan ji, who was here earlier. Yeah, so Kamayatritvat, because it's a very long word. I mean, in Sanskrit it's small, Kamayatritvat, but in English it is very big. Because of the status of being a desirer. How many words? Because of the status of being a desirer. 8 words in Sanskritam. Kamayatritvat. So Kamayatritvat means because of being a status of the desirer, Brahman na achetanam. Brahman is alive because dead things cannot have, or inert things cannot have desires. And then, so that's why that was the first argument. Now the second Purva Pakshi, or the same fellow, comes back and says, Kamaitritvat, because of the status of being a desire, like who? Asmadadivat, like all of us in the world. Asmadadivat means he is including himself, who is an Ajnani. So you have to forgive him. He is self-proclaiming his own Ajnanam. He is self-proclaiming his own, ignorance. So he says, Kamayatritvad, Asmadadivat, like us. This is a common thing you'll encounter in the Bhashya. Asmadadivat means like all of us, like all the people in the world. Then Anapta Kamam iti chet. Apta means the one who already has. Apta, prapta, ap, to gain. So pra plus ap, prapta, apta. Aptam, kamam, yena. So by whom the desire has been gained. This is called aptakama. Very common word used in the Shastra and by Adi Shankara to denote who? Jnani. To denote the Jnani, Jnani is called aptakama. Because there is no desire that is waiting in the wings. I wish I could go there. I wish I could do this. There is no wanderlust. There is no feeling I have to have this, otherwise my life is incomplete. There is no such thing. And so, for whom there is no desire left to fulfill. Why? Because one feels complete. One feels purna, limitless, whole. And so, since that is not there, that person is called aptakama. But that is the Jnani, and that is also Bhagavan. So if you offer, how many modaks do we offer to Lord Ganesha? 108. Modaks means these little pointy sweets, round at the bottom, pointy on the outside, on the top. Okay, so you every day you offer, or every week once, you offer 108 nicely arranged on the plate. And if Ganapati started to, polish off half of it or 3/4 of it, one day you'll think it's very cute and love it. Actually, in 1995, all the Ganeshas in India started to drink milk. Yeah. And maybe it was some kind of a surface tension thing going on, but nobody cared. We all loved the fact that he's drinking milk. We didn't care how much was spilling out from the, from the mouth, from the trunk rather. We didn't care, because we just thought, Ganesha is little sloppy, that's all. But he's drunk the milk I gave him. And so there was a big phenomenon in Mumbai and elsewhere. There was just Ganesha is drinking milk, Ganesha is drinking milk. And it lasted for about 10 days, and it was cute. It was deeply fulfilling for the devotees that Ganesha opened his eyes and started to drink the milk, at least in India. And but he had that continued all the time, it would have worn off. In fact, we would have started to get annoyed. Here, people don't have milk. Why, why you want milk? Aren't you supposed to be Bhagavan? And same thing would happen if Ganesha ate up all the modaks, and you have a family of 5 and he left you only 2. You'll be annoyed. After the next day, it'll be very, very annoying. Why is Bhagavan so revered? Because Bhagavan is the altar of non-wants. No wants. Bhagavan is the altar of zero wants. That is why Bhagavan is available to address your wants. If Bhagavan had his own wants, her own wants, then what about your wants? The Bhagavan will become Asmadadivat, like all of us. Then what's the point of knowing this Brahman who is just like us and who also has Kama? Why does Brahman have Kama? Poor thing. Didn't have a lot of desires met. Grew up in a difficult household, not enough money, could not go on family holidays. And then so now Brahman, did not, what is that? Just like some people in the world have this thing called, what is that? What? Bucket list. No. This itch to do something. Creative restlessness. उसको creative restlessness बोलते हैं. We talk about it as creative restlessness. So there is a creative restlessness. I just can't handle this. I don't want this, and I have to create something, and I have to do something, and all these things. And so therefore, this is the problem. There is a creative restlessness, and that creative restlessness becomes the driving force for paintings. See, all these, all these famous painters, if they couldn't paint, they just get very agitated. So Brahman is like us. We get agitated if we don't do some things, and we get restless, we get tired, we get upset. Brahman is also what? Anaptakamaha. Anaptakamam, we have to say, because it is neuter. So Brahman is anaptakamam. We may anaptakamam Brahma. Because why it is anaptakamam? Because like us, poor thing has so many desires, including bucket list. It has lot of lists. And so knowing this Brahman, what will happen to me? Nothing. Now I was already fighting with the whole world, right? Because whatever I want, 100 other people want, and it's in short supply. I was already fending off the people and fighting with the people. Now I have to Brahman also to worry about. He is also a contender. Ishvara is also a contender in this. So what kind of a Atmajnanam will come knowing Brahman? Zero Atmajnanam. And so that is the that is the idea. So then so therefore he says that this one only for alpagnyam for the person who doesn't who has limited knowledge. With that we have associated kamayatritvam, alpagnyam, ajnani, etc. And then so therefore what? So Brahman cannot be ajnani, and Brahman's desire is very, very, very different, completely different from the desires, we should say, of an unfulfilled person. From so from the desire of an unfulfilled person, it is very, very, very different. It cannot be the same. Asmadadivat, it cannot be, because there is no inner pressure. What do the people have? The people have desires, number one. Number two, they have the inner pressure to fulfill the desire. Such a person is anapta kama. Anapta kama means the one of unfulfilled and unfulfillable desires, the one that is equipped with. And why is this person anapta kama? Because when there is a desire in the heart, it does not sit still. It starts to have ideas. If one is having a good time, how to extend it? Okay, if it's a 6-month course and everybody is enjoying it, how to make it into 2-year course, 3-year course? That is how it is. So this is what one wants. One wants to continue. One wants to keep on continue. What an example. One wants to keep on continuing. Nothing wrong, but that's what one wants. And so here so there is a impetus, an inner impetus, wanting to make it, wanting to continue it, wanting to keep on wanting more and more. And so in ashuddha desires that are what is that, are vitiated with certain kinds of motivations that make the samsara continue. That is what is called ashuddha, impure desires that keep going, keep the bad news of samsara going. That is what is called impure desires. So in those kinds of desires, in impure desires, what happens? There is a severe pressure. I have to have it now. Otherwise, some terrible thing will happen. Because of that, people go to jail. Because of this pressure, people go to jail. Because of this pressure, marriages are broken. In 1 minute, something happens, the head goes whatever, and they are either unfaithful or they say something hurtful, and the marriage itself breaks so many times. And because of this pressure, the laws are broken and the person ends up behind the bars. So the pressure is too strong for some little bit of instant gratification. And then after that, cooling in the jail, the person has a lot of time to contemplate. Do some nididhyasana. Why did I do this for 5 minutes of some joy of getting somebody else's money, some joy that I got of snatching somebody else's money? Why did I do this? Now I have a 5-year jail sentence. So that then the wisdom dawns. That's when the wisdom dawns. Somebody sent me yesterday one small video, 1 minute video. This happened somewhere in America, and one robber goes into a beauty, what is that called? Beauty salon, where they do the nails and manicure salon. And so he went to the manicure salon, and then what did he do? He whipped out a gun. Okay. And in America, people have become desensitized to guns because every day there is some violence, somebody is getting offed, or some people are just dying. Unfortunately, people have become very desensitized. So this fellow pulled out a gun and said to everybody, nobody in particular, but everybody in general, what did he say? Give me your money. Give it to me just now. What do you have? Empty your pockets. And everybody just ignored him. So nobody paid attention because I think they thought that he was not serious, and he himself must not have had much courage, and they could see that he was frightened. So that manicurist is going on painting somebody's nails. She just looks and she says, I don't have any money, and she goes on painting somebody's nails, and that lady who's getting the nails painting also, she's just keeping her hands like this and getting the nails painted. And nobody gave him even the time of day. And then he slowly backed out and went out of the shop. Somebody had already called the police, and he was one thing he was able to take. He was able to frighten somebody. The lady that was the customer who was standing at the door, he frightened her and snatched her cell phone, mobile phone. He snatched. And then he ran away with it, but then the police were waiting for him right outside. They snatched it and gave it back to the lady. So this inner pressure makes people do unthinkable things in one moment. And same thing with that, what's his name? We have an ancient example, Vishwamitra. And Vishwamitra did Ghora Tapas. And why did he do Ghora Tapas? Not for anything else, but he wanted the wish-fulfilling cow, which the other sage had. He wanted Vasishtha's wish-fulfilling cow, Kamadhenu. He was actually a soldier. He was a commander, Vishwamitra. And he went one day along with 400 soldiers to Vasishtha's ashram long after lunch. Lunch bell had rung and finished. Everything was clean and swept and nothing was there to eat. And Vasishtha said, hungry soldiers. Okay, so he called the cow and said, feed 400 people. And she obliged. The dishes just appeared. And so then, Vishwamitra said, how did you cook so quickly for so many people? And the sage said, not I, it is she. And he showed the cow. And then Vishwamitra was a very bad guest. He said, can I have the cow? You don't do that when you go to somebody's house. And they feed you, you don't say, can I take that? Very bad manners. And so Vasishtha said, I can give it to you, but it won't help you. She only listens to person who is aptakama, who doesn't want anything. Then only she will give. Otherwise, she will not give anything. She will just send you home like that. She will not give. You have to be free of desires in order to master this cow. Otherwise, she will not listen to you. So then that's when he said, in order to master this cow, I'm going to master myself. That was his pressure. So the pressure for self-mastery was itself from a pressure. So the self-mastery cannot be done out of a pressure. That is itself, what is that? It's no connection at all. And so here, he wanted self-mastery to fulfill a pressure. And then what? Indra started to get worried because he is always worried that somebody will displace him, which goes to show that even if you become Indra, you are not feeling secure. Right now, better study Bhashya and become secure. That's what it is. Gain the security right here and now. And so then what did he do? He just went on doing tapas. And Indra said, Menaka, help here. I need some help. And she said, no problem. And so she just wore her, anklet bells. Chan, 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 she just went. And Vishwamitra, in the middle of Om Namah Shivaya, took a peek. One eye he opened and saw. And then after that, he was just in love with her. And all the years of Ghora Tapas finished. So what if Brahman asmadadivat anaptakamam iti chet? Adi Shankara gives a fantastic rebuttal. He says, na. You can repeat. Swatantriyat.
Swatantriyat.
Swatantriyat. See, this is beauty of Adi Shankara. In one word, the whole thing is smashed. Asmadadivat. He went on blabbering. Asmadadivat, iti chet. What if Brahman is also anaptakama? Brahman has list of unfulfilled desires. All these things. And what is the use of knowing Brahman? All these things. Na, one word rebuttal and then one word explanation. And the explanation will always be in the fifth case. Swatantriyam, swatantriyat. And so, Swatantriyam means what? Independence. Swatantra. Tantra means centered on. So, Swa means centered on oneself. Okay? So, Swatantra, very big thing here for many, many reasons. So, let us see here. So, he says, Swatantriyat means that there is no, first of all, Swatantra means many things. Number one, no inner pressure. Bhagavan did not create the Jagat out of some restlessness. I have to prove to whom, I don't know, but I have to prove that I have made the best Jagat possible. No other Bhagavan is there, no other Brahman is there, so there is also no internal pressure to prove that I am better than everybody else. So this is one aspect of Swatantriyam, because it is all coming from oneself alone. It is not coming from anybody else. There is no pressure. There is no there is no this thing. And also, sometimes like an Olympic runner, what was his name? Bolt. Usain Bolt. And this Bolt was not so worried about other competitors because he was really the best. Really, nobody could touch this Bolt fellow. And very interesting, his name is Bolt and he's a runner. He knew he could bolt. And so he was not worried about that. But one thing he was really interested in was competing against himself and making a mark, that improving on his own record. Maybe Brahman is like that. The last kalpa, in the last cycle of creation, I could do it like this. So this time I have to do many more things in the creation. It has to be many and varied, more varied and more manifold than last time. In last time I did it in so much time. Now I have to do it in less time. Not possible, because time is part of the creation. And there is nothing to prove to anybody else. And being aptakama, there is nothing to prove to oneself either. So that second reason is that one has to improve on one's own record. That is also not there. Okay, then why else do people do things? People do things out of a sense of loneliness. Very sad, very lonely. sad and lonely, and therefore sitting bored, and okay, there is some cheshta. This is called cheshta, something you do. And that's how so many things were born. Knitting was born, and what is that? Tick 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 tick, something the elderly people do. Crochet was born, and then some other thing was born, and embroidery was born. So very beautiful things. But then sometimes, not always, sometimes that creativity helps the loneliness. So poor Brahman ekam advitiyam, nobody around, nowhere, not even space, not even time, nothing. And so Bahusyam, I should become many. I'm just nobody to talk to. And so first I want a partner, let me call her Maya. Then 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 so first is aham. Aham means what? I. And then that I becomes yo, yo. And then so then that is a lament. It's a sound of lament in South India, yo. Okay. So first it is I, and then it is yo. And then after that what? Aham. Then avam, myself and Maya. And then what? Vayam, all of us, this whole Jagat, happy family. What happy family? It's a samsara, sorry go round. You can't call it merry go round anymore. It's a sorry go round. And so therefore, this is this lonely Brahman desired. No, desired to do. No. Swatantra means full of itself, full of itself. It is not asmadadivat, it is not anaptakama. Then the third reason why somebody could create is because of karma. Correct? Even Jnani creates. This is a very interesting thing. This is Anandagiri, says that. Even Jnani creates. Jnani writes books, Jnani teaches, Jnani goes here, there, does some things, what is that, creates an institution for some people to help, orphanages, schools, whatever it is, to help. Jnani also creates. And why does the Jnani create? As we saw this morning in the conclusion of the Tattva Bodha, what did we see? Prarabdha karma of the Jnani continues even after the knowledge. So since the prarabdha is there, that prarabdha becomes the deciding factor between some jnanis, how they can just sit in one place whole life. They don't move even a few inches. That's all. In that area only they will be. They will be in their ashrama, or they may go a little bit to a shop and come back. That's it. They will not go anywhere. Whereas certain other jnanis are roaming all over the world. Why? Because of the prarabdha. Correct? So karma vashat, because the karma still continues, and the jnani jnani is one. Adi Shankara says in what is that called? Sadhana Panchakam. Adi Shankara says, prarabdhaya samarpita vapuhu. Beautiful expression. Samarpitam, given over to what? Prarabdha. What is given over? Vapuhu, this whole body, mind, sense complex for the jnani is given over to prarabdha. Meaning there is no fight, there is no resistance. You just live out your life how you are supposed to be. And the Brahma Sutra says, like a dry leaf, the jnani moves according to prarabdha. So first it was on the tree, then it came down like this nicely, and then fell, and then somebody swept it, and then put it in a bag, and then what? Suddenly a wind blew, the bag fell on its side, and this leaf along with a few others escaped. It's all prarabdha. Where it's going to go and all is just prarabdha. So jnani creates prarabdha vashat, because the jnani is still under prarabdha, at least from the standpoint of the onlookers, and the jnani doesn't resist prarabdha because the jnani doesn't identify with the prarabdha or with the body for that matter, which is doing upabhoga, which is doing the what is upabhoga? Experiencing of the prarabdha. So the jnani creates out of karma. Can we say Brahman is creating out of karma, leftover residual karma? No. So all three reasons for creating are completely and totally smashed. Brahman cannot create out of some karma. Does Brahman have karma? No. Not the last time we checked. Okay. Yeah. No karma at all. How can Brahman have karma? In fact, the definition of Brahman is that which there is no karma. Karma means there has to be ajnanam. Brahman is ever all jnanam, always jnanam. So then karma is not there. But then what is this desire? Desire is needed, and then some karma is needed. For the desire to come, some karma is needed. There is a kind of a loop. What is that? Ajnana, kama, karma, shrinkhala, a kind of a chain. If we do the, what is that? If we do the family tree of Ajnanam, so we have the matriarch, Avidya, Mataji, okay? Then she gives birth to Kama, son, eldest son Kama. Then grandson, the Kama has a son, Karma. Kama is desire, the desire forces you to do action. And then what? Karma has twins, Papa Punya. And then that leads to another child called Punarjanma. And then it's back to Mataji's lap. Atma Ajnanam. So this is how the whole thing continues. But for Brahman, this cycle is never there. Never participated in this cycle. All knowledge. That's why Sarvajnaha. And so there is no karma also, at least for the jnanis, behind jnanis creation, creative activities, there is a logic, there is karma. But then where is the karma for Brahman to create? Swatantriya, there is nothing there. That's why Ishvara Srishti is magic. Without karma it comes, without its own karma it comes. But then there is a logic, because there is avidya, kama, karma. This logic cannot go. Because then if it applies to me, it should apply to the macrocosm of the Jagat too. If it applies to one person, that if that person has avidya, then there will be desire, and that desire leads to action. If that is the logic, it should apply to oneself, it should apply to all the people in the Jagat, it should apply to Brahman also. But Brahman has no karma. Then what? Prani karma. Brahman creates due to the ajnanam of the jivas, and the kamas are supplied not from Brahman. Kama comes from the jivas who are all wanting to become separate individuals. Before the creative cycle emerged, and again we can't even say before because there is no time here, but we have to speak somehow, so that is how I'm constrained to say before. So before the creative cycle emerged, what was there? It was Jiva and Ishvara. There was no one, there was only Ishvara. And then Maya Shakti comes into being, and then, again, we cannot say whether Maya Shakti came into being because of the Jivik desires, or because Maya Shakti came into being, the Jiva desired. We don't know. Maya Shakti as though came into being, never separate from Brahman, and then because of that, the Jiva's desires had to be reckoned. It was almost like the Jiva was wanting to, like a 2-year-old, get away from the parents and run on the road. No, I'm free. I want to be on my own. No, you will fall. I don't care. I want to go. No, there is a car coming. I don't care. I want to run on the road. This is what the Jiva wanted to do. And so what did Brahman do? Created the road. So look, run. Run. No, now I want to play. All right. We'll create a little playmate for you, another body. And then according to each one's karma, the land came. First, this is in Taittiriya Upanishad, somewhere it is said, before the beings came, the 5 elements came. Why? Because the terra firma, everything has to be set up for the jiva to come and play. So playground has to be there. Ball has to be there. Bat has to be there. And then, of course, they end up hitting each other. And then this is what happens and calling it samsara. But ball is there, bat is there, and then everybody is, supposed to play. They are supposed to attain their fullest potential, whatever that is. They're doing all this what? Because of their karma, their creative pressure, which Brahman just is the, what is that called? Upadrashta Anumanta. You will come across these words in the Bhagavad Gita. Anumanta means the great permitter. Upadrashta means in whose sakshita all this happens, in whose watch everything happens, itself, himself, herself, away from everything. So, Swatantram means this is also what we have to see, free of karma, free of any other impetus to create. So there is no particular desire, there is no particular pressure, and there is freedom. And then why is there freedom? No ajnanam. This is the last reason. No ajnanam. Self ajnanam, that sounds funny. Self ignorance, yes. Self ignorance is not there. Ignorance is not there. And that is why, let us look at the Bhashya. What is the next word? My Bhashya is hidden.
Yatha. Yatha.
I don't know where my Bhashya went. Somewhere it keeps going. Here it is. Yeah, nakame asmadadivat, na swat yatha.
Yatha.
Anyan. Paravashikritya. Kamadidoshaha. Pravartayanti. Na tatha brahmanah. Pravartakaha kamaha. Katham tarhi. Satyajnana lakshanaha. Svatmabhutatvat. Vishuddhaha. Yeah, very nice. This part we have already seen. Yatha, and we'll just see the meaning here. We have already seen in detail. Yatha, just as anyan paravashikritya, means anyan, for other people. What do the kamadi doshaha, limitations such as kama and the inner pressure, etc. Paravashikritya, they hold the person hostage. The desire holds the person hostage, pravartayanti, and they impel the person into action. Na tatha brahmanah pravartakaha kamaha. So Brahman has freedom from the kamas, because in the same way Brahman is not is not succumbing to the pushing of or the pressure that we talked about of the kamas. No pressure. For other people, anyan paravashikritya means holding them hostage. Vashikaranam, holding the person hostage. Paravashikritya, making them under their thumb. The kamas don't dance on the head like of Brahman, like they dance on the head of the Ajnani. Katham tarhi, how come? Satyajnana, the two reasons are given. Satyajnana nandalakshanaha. What? Kamaha. Yeah. And then Svatmabhutatvat Vishuddhaha. What? Kamaha. So there is a fundamental difference between the desires of the Ajnani and the desires of the Jnani. Because there is no Atma Ajnanam for Brahman. And if Atma Ajnanam is not there for Brahman, Brahman becomes what? Satya Sankalpa. Satya Kamaha. Satya Sankalpaha. These are all Upanishadic words. Chandogya Upanishad, 8th chapter has these words. Atma, apahata papma, vishuddha, vimrityuhu, ajaraha, and then satyakamaha, sankalpaha. Satyakamaha means whatever the person desires, this Ishvara is called Satyakama, whatever the person desire is true. Meaning there is nothing that is not real. It is all reality. So there is not any kind of a subjective karma coming out. And then the Satya Sankalpaha means, since Ishvara doesn't want anything for himself or herself, then other people become the recipient of this the desires here. And other people's desires, the Ishvara becomes an altar for fulfilling the other person's desire. So that's how. So here, very unusual word is given to describe the desires. What are they? So first he says kamadi doshaha. Dosha means limitation. Limitation means what? It's because it creates that inner pressure. So then, so that's why it is called kamadi doshaha yatha. Like it is not there. They are glories. Even for a Ajnani. For Ajnani also they are glories. Here also they are glories. And so why are they glories? Because Brahman's Lakshana is what? Satya Gnanam Anantam. Satyam Gnanam Anantam. So the Kama of Brahman will also what? Be Satyam Gnanam Anantam. Just like gold. Ornament made of gold will be what? Gold. It will have all the things of gold. Pot made of clay will be what? That it will be clay. It will have lakshana of clay. So if the Swarupa is that of Satyam Jnanam Anantam, and then it is the Kamaha, the Vastu is Satyam Jnanam Lakshana, Satya Jnana Lakshanaha, and then so the Kamaha also they are Satyam Jnanam Anantam. They don't have this pressure. They don't have anything. Therefore, they are Vishuddha. Vishuddha means non-separate from Brahman. Because there is no avarna, no ajnanam. No ajnanam is there. And then so there is no feeling on the part of Brahman, I am the desirer. No such feeling is there. So it's therefore it is Sarvajnaha. Just like the Vidwan. Vidushaha api sarvajnaha. Vidushaha means the Vidwan is also sarvajna. The Brahman also sarvajna. And so the Kama is free of selfish, self-centered desires, because it is just fulfilling a law. What is the law? There is desire, and then all these beings want to come out. Okay, so be it. Tathastu. And tathastu means go forth. And this is what it is. And so the being's desires are being fulfilled through all the prani desires. Brahman becomes an altar for fulfillment. That is how we got the Jagat in the first place. Otherwise, we were happily one with Brahman. But then the Jiva said, let me out, let me out. And then after that came to Vedanta and said, let me in, let me in. And so the cycle of samsara continues. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Here you can have darshan of all the people. You can see them, they can see you. Yeah, very nice. Wonderful. Yeah, you can see little postage stamps in the form of people. All right. Always better with a live audience, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Om Namah Shivaya. See you tomorrow. Om Tat Sat.